Today on the Daily Review, we talk about the biggest movie of 1993. Nope, not Jurassic Park. That's right, it's Fire in the Sky with D.B. Sweeney. Just bring the mouse over to the button and click. Will you get the headphones on in time? Oh, and he does. Anyway, Fire in the Sky. This was the movie that scared my brother the most as a kid. And I hadn't seen it for a really long time, but I've always kind of had a weird feeling about the movie because my brother was so scared of it. Also, I think my brother saw something on Oprah when he was really young and then was up late one night. And I remember him telling me this, and he was looking up in the sky over our street, and really high up in the sky he saw a red triangle break into a bunch of other red triangles. And he's not crazy. He's a regular person. And he told me that when I was 10 or something, and because he was 12 when he saw it or whatever, probably younger. And I don't know, just kind of scared us both. My brother's really scared of alien abduction, because some wires were crossed, having seen this movie at a young age. And he's combination of that and Oprah. He had no idea what to do. And imagine being abducted by Oprah. Be doubly bad. It was funny. So I went onto YouTube and I watched a review of this. Because I'm always trying to, because part of this channel is figuring out how to get subscribers and how to get into the algorithm, and just kind of my own exploration of this version of social media, mainly for my own interest. And so when I talk about stuff like this in class, I have a better understanding of what it takes, and what it's all about. So that's, my main goal. I'm not trying to make money or anything. And so I watched this one guy's video reviewing it, and it's he instantly comes up, and it's it's super serious, like a news show. And that is very strange to me. I know that the reason a news program is serious is so it gives it authenticity, because they're supposed to be giving you facts, so you don't want to be, but I don't know, the ones that aren't conversational I find really bizarre, like somebody's reading a script, and that's what I saw, and it's just guy's face really too close to the camera. D.B. Sweeney and blah, blah, blah. It's what the fuck, dude? But he had tons of views, but it also had been up for 12 years. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe I just, since I've only been doing the channel, this, this show, I guess I should say, putting effort into it for a year. Anyway, we'll see. And it's interesting because fact and fiction is a big part of this movie. Fire in the Sky, the story of, what's his name, John Walton, something like that. I can't remember. Walton, Travis Walton. And 1975, 7 loggers go a-logging, and they see a disc, one might say a fire in the sky, like a red flame. And they think it's the sun, they think it's a forest fire, and then they see basically a saucer. Travis gets out of the car, is hit with a blue, white, green light that knocks him to the ground. Everybody drives away. It's Jesus Christ, he's dead. And they come back, and he's gone. And then the loggers then have to deal with the ridicule of everybody being well, obviously you killed this guy. Obviously didn't get abducted by aliens. That's the least possible, likely solution. But they all stick to it, and they all pass lie detectors tests in real life too, some of them multiple times. And 5 days later, Travis just shows back up. He hasn't eaten or drinking anything in 5 days. Nobody's seen him. He's just found naked. And he is traumatized early in the movie. So that's D.B. Sweeney plays the main role, and his best friend's played by Robert Patrick. I almost said Jason Patrick. And in the crew, there's some good. There's Greg Sheffer. I think it's maybe how you say it, Schieffer, or maybe it's Schaefer, but it's spelled Sheffer, and and he strangely is the guy in Turbulence 3 who flies the plane and lands it, which is then copied in Snakes on a Plane. Isn't that bizarre? I was like watching, I was like, oh my god, because remember I said how Red Letter Media watched Turbulence 3 and that they use a joystick or whatever to control the plane, and that's basically what Keenan does in Snakes on a Plane. And then I was watching this and I was like, hey, wait, that's the same actor. And then Henry Thomas, who's the little kid from E.T., he's in the crew, which is nice, you know, a little E.T. extraterrestrial connection there. Anyway, it goes, D.B. Sweeney's, in the beginning of the movie, very happy, likable, positive, charismatic guy. Everybody loves him. And then after, he's, horribly traumatized, doesn't really seem to understand anything. Really kind of a terrifying performance, actually. It really seems like the contrast is really good. The filmmaking is not, it's very TV movie-ish, and that's partially low budget. This movie was made for I think it's 15 mil or 16, maybe around there, which in 93, that's still not for a sci-fi. I mean, I know that this is, I don't know, I just think another director could have crushed this out of the park, because my brother and I then talked about the movie and really were like, what, I wish there would be another alien abduction movie, another modern one, because we have had some good alien movies. We were talking about the down to earthness of this movie is what makes it so good. It's just realistic. It's just the townspeople being like, well, you and the crew, you had a fight with him, so obviously you must have fucking killed him, or you're his best friend, but he was going to ask your sister for her hand in marriage, and you didn't want that, so maybe you got into a fight, and you guys aren't all the most reputable people, so obviously Occam's razor, you're going to assume that it's not that it's not aliens. That's being pretty low on, where did my keys go? You're not probably aliens, It's probably not the first place you turn to. So yeah, the performances are good and stuff, but the filmmaking is very basic. Good editing, good holding off showing us what happens, because we don't see what happens until the very end of the movie, as he slowly, D.B. Sweeney's character Travis Walton, starts slowly piecing it back together. And there's the famous sequence is he's kind of freaking out, hiding under this kitchen table, and maple syrup gets knocked over on the table, and it falls and it hits him on the face and the mouth, and he goes kind of strokes out and then goes into this memory, which I think is the most horrifying depiction of human interaction with aliens that I've seen, because it's so dreamlike. I kind of think some of the low special effects help it, because it feels so how in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, that scene where Freddy's walking down the alleyway, and his arms are getting longer and longer and longer, and scratching the walls, and it looks kind of not silly, but it looks probably different than how they imagined it, but it's so bizarre looking and so uncinematic looking that it's more like a dream, if you get what I'm saying. And that's what I feel about this kind of 15-minute alien abduction scene. It is pretty horrific. It's pretty horrific. And, yeah, you get just thinking about it, you get lost in it. The rest of the movie does not kind of hold up to the filmmaking skills of that sequence. It's they blew their wad there. But that's also kind of the point, you save it. That's the kind of cinema I like the best, is with the tension and release, we were talking about with Unforgiven. But I like that, you wait for your moment, and then when you're gonna make your point, that's when you do kind of the fancy cinematic thing. You do the kind of like show-offy thing, but you don't do show-offy stuff the rest of the time. You only do it to like underline a statement, you know, like a cinematic statement. That's what I like. That's a preference, you know. But I like movies that do it, you know, that are always just being nuts, or movies that are never nuts, you know. So, but you know, it's my flavor. I like the best. So, yeah, I think that the depiction of the aliens, it's like you kind of, when you first see them, they look so much like little grays, you know, like the most typical, like if you just drew an alien, they almost look like, you know, those inflatable aliens that you win at a carnival. That's what they look like, and they're like hanging there, and you're like, oh, they're not really pulling this off. But then once they get their helmets off and the way their faces are, it's like, oh my god. And then I was reading how Travis described it, because he wrote a book named Fire in the Sky, and his description of the aliens, I think they did a really good job, but they totally dramatized what he saw. Because I guess what he actually saw was woke up on a table with 3 aliens that are very similar to the ones in the movie in terms of description, and then he like gets up and swings at them, and then is brought into a hangar with like a whole bunch of other ships, and then a human woman that with like quotes around it. I don't know if she's being like mind controlled or something, puts a mask on him, and he gets knocked out, and that's basically the whole story. But he does see other humans in there and stuff, like captives. So but either way, it's fucking scary, and the fact that they all pass the lie detectors is like terrifying. You know. And it is like, well, what is the answer then? I mean, he didn't die, so all of those, like, where did he go? He didn't just, like, how could they have collectively seen, you know what I mean? Even let's say he got struck by lightning, there'd be something, you know? I mean, I guess the weirdest thing would be, like, that it's something that the government knows about, or it's the government, you know what I mean? Like, that they're doing tests. I don't know. It asks a lot of questions. It's pretty cool. But ultimately, then the last 5 minutes, the kind of conclusion is a bit, I don't know, and not anticlimactic, a little bit. You know, there's kind of like a resolution with the friends that, I don't know, doesn't really work. Something as a whole doesn't work about the movie. And I heard there's a remake coming eventually. And certainly it would do fine just based on the amount of people who were traumatized by this movie. I don't think not a lot of people remember it, but if you mention it to somebody and they have seen it, they go, oh Jesus, that 15 minutes, holy crap, I saw that when I was a kid. So I was kind of interested to see if it would hold up, and man, that sequence, when it started when it was building to that sequence, I was like, oh god, here it comes. And then it started happening, and I was like, this is terrifying. Like, I texted my brother, I was like, this movie is terrifying. And I don't know, maybe I don't want to build it up too much. That's why I didn't describe really anything in there. I want to leave it a mystery for you, because I think it's on Amazon or Hulu or whatever. But there's one part where he's like kind of floating around in the alien ship, and he crashes into this like catacomb tomb thing, and he kind of like goes through the wall, and he like, his hands go like into a person that's like, it's so fucking scary, and they're like still alive, but they're not even like a human really. It's like similar to the one people who are cocooned in Aliens. Fucking terrifying, because it's not in like the Giger world of Alien. Like the Alien movies, the whole movie feels slimy and creepy, and even their ship is strange. Even before the aliens get there, you're in like a bizarre environment. All the humans act very, have tons of humanity, and that's what connects you to the story. But in this, the world is like too clean beforehand. It's too TV movie, like too sitcom-y. And the setup feels very like TV movie-ish, and I think that's what hurts the like drama at the end. But also it helps the alien abduction sequence. When I say drama at the end, I mean like the last 5 minutes with the character resolutions and stuff. So I do think it holds up, though, actually, in that it was a mediocre movie with an amazing climax, and now it's still a mediocre movie with an amazing climax. And Robert Patrick is quite good in it. But I don't know, there's also, they have like, you know, a DB Sweeney. I know he's really popular, and everybody loves the cutting edge, right? But to me, he is like a poor man's Paul Rudd. He's like Paul Rudd's older brother who fell out of a tree when he was 8 and hit his head really hard on the ground. Now he's DB Sweeney. But his performance is really good. So I mean, it's a joke. I'm joking. All right. What? I have no idea what's even going on this thing. I'm just gonna push the button. I was playing with all sorts of stuff last night. I don't even know where this is going here. Oh yeah, that's right. All right, guys. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll do Time Cop. I started watching Time Cop last night. I got it at the thrift store. It's 4x3. It's super funny. He is such a shit actor. God, how did he make it? I mean, he's good looking, and he's got everything except the acting ability. Fucking worst actor ever, man. I'm talking about John Claude. Okay. Trump has corona. He's riddled with corona. He's gonna corona all over his face. Corona, 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 corona in your president's face.